in order to find out what it was like around here 30, 40 years ago. I can't believe you've been here that long. You have to learn a little bit about what kind of people were here. And when I stopped the tape, you mentioned that they were friendly. This seems to be the kind of personality of a small suburban area all over. People are friendly. They depend on each other, I guess. Is that what it was?
That's right. And everybody knew each other, which now is a little different. There's more people.
There are that many more, though.
Oh, yeah.
Are there really?
Oh, yeah. Well, look at how it's built all over, and that's all new. Every street are built almost up to the bush, and that's all new people.
Oh,
and so there is quite a few more.
It's not, but you can pick out all the people you knew back then.
Oh, yes, definitely. But at my age, well, of course, and a lot of them are gone.
Well, sure. But do you keep in touch?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Because this is a tendency in our society today that we don't keep in touch.
Yes, well...
We get cabin fever and stay in the house.
Well, I don't know. People now, I think there's more tension than there was years ago.
Certainly is.
And people don't feel they have time to communicate as much as they did. That's the way I feel. Although I never stop, but take like visit a person or so. Well, they don't have time. They've got too much of their own people to look after or work to do, or I don't know what it is, but I don't think there's as much communication as there used to be.
And yet people work much harder.
They work
physically,
harder, right on.
When it was a farming community, they were working, and still they had to work.
That's what I feel. I don't know.
I mean, sure, there would be rivalries and things like that going on
in
any
definitely.
Community, but still, in those days, and I keep harking back like it's millions of years ago.
Well,
in those days, people were closer.
I would think so.
More on a personal basis. I guess there was fewer rivalries.
Well, I think so. You knew everybody, and you kind of mind your own business and just go about your business, and then be friendly at the same time.
Was it mostly French Canadian in this, where you are, less within a couple of miles?
Yes.
Was it really?
Yes.
Because
very few. Well, there was a few Italians or different people like that, but mostly French Canadian.
Now we're talking what, the 20s now? We'll try to kind of confine it so we know when we're
Well, that would be in the 25.
Around the 25.
And 20, yeah.
And between 25 and 30 or thereabouts. There were some immigrants then even?
Oh, yes.
Were there?
Yes, a few. Not that many, but a few here and there.
Because, of course, everywhere you look, you see French names.
Oh, yes.
And I assume that it was highly French.
Oh, yes. It was mostly French, mostly French. It was a French community.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Well, the French started this in the 1700s when they originated, petite coat, and then
You mentioned that, you said that word before, petite coat.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what they call this, petite coat first, before Lasalle. Lasalle was originated in 1924.
Why don't I learn these things?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the first
coat. Now that's what's
petite coat.
Little thing on the E, I guess.
E-T-I, I think, or something like that. Petite coat. C-O-T. Yeah. Yes. That was originated in 1700.
What does petite coat mean? Little what?
Petite coat.
Doesn't matter.
Little hill, or whatever it is. Yeah.
I'm supposed everybody who speaks French knows except me.
Just like Detroit River, they called it straight, eh? That was for Detroit for a French word.
Oh, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't realize it was another name. I thought it was named after one of the explorers or something, and that was the end of it. But
and then I was around in 22 in LaSalle when they had all the slot machines, eh? That was.
No, see, I haven't heard about that.
Oh, yes. Well, I was working for the man that owned the slot machine, eh? And it was very interesting. The same lady helped build the church when it was first.
Which church is that?
Sacred Heart in 21. And she was the one that went to see Bishop Fallon, I think it was. And she worked really hard, and I helped her too with it. I was pretty young then. But
you were a child, for heaven's sake.
Yes, I was, but I was a big child. And then I was working for this man that had the slot machine, and I'm telling you, the money that came in there. And I thought I was kind of a stranger. Of course, they knew me before I worked there, but it was interesting to see how much money was taken in those things.
Where did they have them?
Well, they were all over.
I see.
They all over. But he was the one that was collecting the money.
How many would there have been? And I mean, this is a small area, and well, just approximately.
No, maybe around 50.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
50 slot machines.
Yes.
Las Vegas.
Just about, but they were distributed here and there, And
but would they be in stores and things?
Different places, yes.
Yeah,
and then he had quite a few at home, which they didn't play, but he just fixed them and replaced them if they had.
I see. So that was his whole business, was slot machines.
That and real estate. He was in real estate then.
Can't lose that way.
No.
All you needed was a restaurant, and
that's it.
You couldn't lose. Yeah.
And it was funny, He'd used to say, Alice, I want you to count my money and put it away for me. Now, I could have taken piles of them, but then that's what I did. I'd count it all and put it in this place, wherever. And then he said, "Where'd you put my money?" I said, "It's up there. It's down there." And it was funny, but I enjoyed that. And I was young, and so much money, I didn't know what to do with it.
There is no way that anybody would trust another person that way
that's what
today.
I mean.
Isn't that amazing?
No.
It just wouldn't happen. They'd have to have checks.
That's what I thought was very peculiar about him doing that, But I guess he trusted me.
You have to trust somebody.
And I never did take a nickel,
Why would you if somebody didn't trust you?
That's
then,
right.
Obviously, he knew you wouldn't.
No, I suppose he did. I suppose he did.
Well, that only went for a certain amount of time, and then there was.
Yes, and then they confiscated them or something. Yes, they took them down. That lasted for a while.
How long would that have been now?
That was in 22.
I mean, but how long would he have kept up the business?
Oh, he kept them up for about, I'd say, maybe 3 or 4 years.
Well, he'd have got his money back then.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, he didn't lose that.
No.
And he knew. I would think he would suspect this was going to happen sometime.
Probably, he knew.
Well,
he was a smart man.
He would have to be.
And a very few words, but really smart. In his ways.
Well, now. This wasn't just the slot machine capital of southwestern Ontario, by any means.
No, I don't think so. I don't really think so.
Yes,
Yes, there was other places, but he was one of the main ones,
And did he go outside of Lasalle with his machines?
I think he did, yes. Oh, yes, he was outside of Lasalle.
See, this is something I hadn't heard before. That's why I'm so curious about it. Because I didn't
that's one of my first experience, And besides that, well, I've always done, of course, I wasn't educated that well, but although we run a business for a long time, and I kept the books and everything, learned from my, from experience.
You told me you were a farmer.
Yes, and then we had a print shop. We still have it, Lasalle Press.
Oh, open another new avenue.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back and talk about printing. That used to be my trade.
Is that right?
Yes.
Where did you work?
In Toronto.
In Toronto?
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a moment.
Oh, my God.
Well, did you start off as printers, or did you start off as a newspaper?
No, as printers.
As printers?
Yes.
And why? Why would you start a business after farming and being outdoors all the time? And
my husband always liked printing.
He did?
Yes. He used to work in Detroit for a while in a printing shop there. And then when he came back and he said, let's start a little print shop, and which we did. Just got a hand-fed press, and started
that.
Yes, And, we'd make small things, but the business started to grow and grow. And then we built a little print shop, and we bought another press and kept on going like that. And we got it to quite a successful business.
And there was a newspaper involved here.
And we started in 48, but we started the press before that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
it isn't always a natural progression, though, from a job printing shop to a newspaper. Not
well,
always,
there was quite a few that came to us and asked us to.
Oh, I see.
It
wasn't just your idea of an ambition to be a newspaper.
not really.
Oh.
And many of the council and different people that were in LaSalle and thought it would be nice if we had a little community paper. And so we started.
Now, what are we talking population in that time?
There wasn't too many.
No.
When LaSalle went with the Sandwich West, there was only 28 2,850.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't too many. There was just about maybe 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah, 3,200, something like that.
And they felt that a newspaper they'd call it a newsletter now, probably. Yeah.
It was just more or less what happened in Lasalle. And
right.
my husband was a photographer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he took pictures, and then he developed his own picture and put the pictures on the paper, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
I have a few copies left.
Have you?
LaSalle Press, yes.
And it was called the LaSalle Press?
LaSalle News.
LaSalle News.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now that's the business you were talking about where you kept the books.
Yeah,
you didn't learn the printing business?
Well, not no press. Maybe duplicating and folding and things like that, but not no press. I never ran the press.
Was it a family business or?
Yes, I had my son. One of them was in there, and now he's at Farmers Market. You might know that place on Dougal. And the other one's got the printing. They're still going.
The printing shop is still here?
Yeah.
In LaSalle?
Yes, right on this road.
Do you know that I have lived here all this time?
And you didn't know?
Didn't know there was a printer in LaSalle.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, I'm going to have to go and visit.
You should.
Yeah, just for old time's sake.
Right.
I still remember all the
right.
things
He'd be happy to see you.
I'd like to.
And, well, of course, he doesn't advertise that much, probably, but...
probably doesn't have to.
No.
There's enough business just by word of mouth and reputation.
Yeah, but he gets fairly good, big jobs,
From outside.
Township is very helpful, and many others, like Sinclair or College or all those places. He gets them from all over. It doesn't make it
interesting.
Yes.
So it's that kind of puts LaSalle on the map. Makes people know that we're here.
Well, it's something else that they have that that there's not too many of.
I would think too that in the process of running a newspaper, you would find out more news than your neighbor across the street would know.
Oh yeah. Well, we looked for them, and then we had a lady that worked for us that got the news, and wrote for us, and she was very good. And then that way we filled it up anyway.
Oh, I guess you did.
We started, I think it was with 4 pages, and we got to 8, and then we got to 16 pages. It just grew. Yes, just a weekly.
What do you mean just a weekly?
Oh, that was enough, I'm telling you.
So,
that took all our time, to put them together and deliver them and all that.
Right.
We deliver them by mail, most of them.
And the people who lived in this area would be the people who advertise, obviously. But
yes, most of them. But then we had national advertising, too.
Did you really? Oh.
We got it big enough to have a national advertising, which that was very helpful. We had to be, have enough circulation to have a national advertising.
Well, that's the way they determine whether they want to do it, I see. And you had enough. That sounds like...
But then after, well, I'm not in the print shop anymore. I help him out, when he needs me, but I figured I was there long enough.
You did your thing.
Yeah, I think I did, yes.
Well, who are your competitors as far as newspapers around here are concerned?
There's only the one in Amherstburg, the Echo. And the Times is still running. The Times, that's on, but it's not printed down here. I don't know where it's printed, in Windsor someplace. But...
that was the Essex Times.
Yes.
The Amherstburg
Echo. Well, that's been going on for years and years and years.
It's surprising how few people know that.
Yes. Really. But it's still going. It's still going.
And LaSalle, I'll be darned. Well, that's good. I find it interesting. I don't know if my listeners do or not, but I find it interesting because, as I say, it used to be my trade. And although I never did venture to the newspaper part of it, I was always a job printer and always interested in presses.
It's interesting.
Oh, sure it is.
Very interesting.
I just found that it didn't keep me going enough. It didn't keep me involved enough, so I had to try something different. And now I'm glad I did. But I still have fond memories of being a printer. And all right, I want to get back to some of these things that went on back there, not counting. See, as I've said before, I don't want to do the definitive story on rum running and all that kind of thing, because that was interesting. But what I'm interested in is how the people reacted to that kind of thing. And
well,
I don't imagine there was a great deal of guilt felt, because it seemed like a good way to make money.
Well, why not make it if you can make it?
Right.
We weren't involved in it at all. We had our garden stuff, and I think we probably were too young for the ones that were running it, they were older people. It was, I know there was Ravier, that was a big one in there, and there was A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
Yeah. Oh.
They made money like it was going to stop.
This is the thing, and this is the part of it I'm interested in. I can appreciate that there are names and people and this, but everyone else has talked about that. But I'm wondering how it affected people like you, people who weren't involved, but who could see it going on around them, and perhaps even wondering, hey, I should have some of that.
I'll tell you what, it kind of put us in the back seat a little bit, you know, because we weren't making that kind of money, and what they were making was just unreal. Unreal, I'm telling you.
Probably
and it felt us to make us, well, let's just stay behind the, you know, the big shots, eh? But, you know, that most of them lost it as fast as they made it, you know, after, for a while.
Well, when you involved in something that you're not used to, having money, you don't know what to do with it. No.
I know one. They were bringing their money in bushel baskets.
Oh, come on.
Yes, yeah.
Is that right?
They were making so much money.
And I bet they broke today.
More. Some of them I could name you quite a few that
I
know. I don't want to. I wouldn't either.
No, they'll be on our case.
I know that. No, I'm not naming names.
No,
just but some of them were. But it was interesting then. I was working in the cell then, and that was in. What was that?
I don't know exactly the era. I was going to ask you that. What how long this went on, and a piece of the my history is terrible.
Yes, well, I was working in the cell when they were bootlegging, and in fact, and then we got married, and then it was running in 26. I know that very hard because I had my first child when my husband was working at the docks there, and he came home just in time that I had the baby.
Oh, I see.
And he went right back, and he was working at the docks then. So that was in 26. 26. So it kept on. It didn't last that long, you know.
No, I know. And this is the thing. Everybody made it in a hurry, but they...
Yeah. It was mostly night work.
So
crossing the river there.
Yeah. It must have been exciting. Okay, we'll talk some more in a moment.
Okay.
Well, Alice, we were talking before about money, which is was a big thing in those few years that all of this took place, this rum running and all of this sort of thing. And people, I don't know how they were able to adjust, but I have a feeling that some of them never did make the proper adjustment to sudden riches. And then it's not a story like all of a sudden money comes in and you live happily ever after and that's the end of the story sort of thing. I don't think that happened that much.
It was a sudden richness, what I'd call it. I don't know. It came so fast and so, it was an everyday effect.
They didn't worry about that.
They didn't worry at the time. No, they were too busy putting it in the bank, I think, anyway. But I think we were a little too young for that, and we didn't get involved, which I wish we would have, in a way.
In some ways, I guess you do, but I'll bet that everyone who didn't felt, oh, I'd have been smarter than that. I'd have put it away somewhere. But
that's what they all said, but most of them didn't,
That's the feeling I had, that most people did not stay rich.
No, I don't think they did either. No. They didn't.
I guess a few did. Of course, a few did. You can see some houses
yes,
that were there since then, and that's what how they were built.
I think they stopped and think a little bit to see that they could keep it in a certain way, and invest it or something. Yeah. But it came so fast that...
There was some good came out of this, too, because I remember Herb Renstedler mentioned that some of the riches, the idea that money was here, made it possible to build that church.
Certainly did. It certainly did.
So it wasn't all bad.
No, it wasn't. And we were all assessed, all the families, to a certain amount to give to the church. But naturally, the people that had more money could give more, eh?
Sure.
And, oh yes, it certainly did, because we have a beautiful church.
Certainly do, yes. And I don't think that people were doing it out of guilt. I think they did it because they had it.
They had it, and they were generous about it.
Did people feel guilty about what they were doing?
Oh...
Generally speaking, do you think?
I doubt it very much. I doubt it. Maybe they did too, but you don't know everybody else's feelings.
Right, you don't really know too if it's all that bad.
Well,
in retrospect, maybe it was bad. I don't know. I really wouldn't want to put a moral judgment on it.
Well, I don't think so. I think if you can make it while you can.
While you can. That was the attitude.
I think the same way today. If a person can make a lot of money, let him do it. Because it takes an awful lot to live, I can tell you that much. Oh, gosh, especially uh, a person with a family. My gosh.
But things weren't all that great at that time for people anyhow.
No, they weren't. You'd make less, but it would cost less, eh?
Yeah, but I still think that I can remember the dirty 30s, for instance.
Yes.
And I know very well that our
It wasn't
pennies,
funny then either.
It was not a heck of a lot of fun.
No.
For us.
No.
Now, I knew that people lived 6 blocks from us.
That's right.
Further in the better part of town.
Yes.
Might have had it better. Maybe because they had steady work. I don't know.
Steady work. And some people inherited a lot of money, too, sometimes. And that helps.
Very true.
Which, in my case, we never did. We just had to work for what we got,
well, sure. Well, sure.
And...
but raising a family in those days was not the easiest thing in the world. And
no,
if you
it wasn't.
did get a chance to make some money,
it wasn't.
Then why not? But by the same token, not having had it, how do you know how to deal with it?
That's right.
That's the thing. I don't know what I would do if I ever had money, even today.
A lot of money? I don't think I know what to do either.
Really, I would have to get an awful lot of advice from people.
Yes.
Because I don't think we're programmed that way necessarily.
No.
When you hear about people who win lotteries,
it's another thing, eh? I buy one every time there is one, but I never won a dime yet.
But the thing is that people who do and who make the big win, you can't always count on that being the answer to everything.
No.
And I think this is the same situation back in those days.
It's more luck than anything else.
Right. And they were lucky.
Sure,
the people who managed to get in on that.
That's right.
Because their next door neighbor
Mm-hmm.
would have the bad luck and not be involved.
That's true.
So there wasn't a lot of guilt. Was there? Did it break up friendships? Do you think?
I wouldn't think real friendship.
Mm.
Probably you kept away more, than you would if they were at the same level as other people were. But at the same time, I don't think it made no bad friends.
It didn't.
No, I don't think so. I know I talked to everybody the same way as I would, but just kept away a little bit more because...
well, you couldn't run with them.
No, you couldn't keep up.
No, golly, no.
Couldn't keep up.
With
You had
the
to stay at our
cars,
level.
With the cars and the...
That's true.
Now, what did these people do for entertainment? Did they stay here or did they go over to Detroit and live it up?
I don't know what they did. They were...
Mind you, they're probably too busy to do...
well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
This was probably 7 days a week business, eh? And they wouldn't miss on it, too, Of course, they still had the cars and the things to do it with, But...
they didn't do it in Windsor, though.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Not as much. Not as much, I don't think.
Because the revenue was directly attributable to across the river, so why not go over there and spend some of it?
Today it's too scary to go there to entertain yourself. But
then,
them days it was fine.
It was taken for granted too more that you'd go across the river. It wasn't a big deal then.
Right.
Back in those days.
Yes.
When do you think that started? When did you start feeling that you're going to another country and got a different feeling?
In Detroit, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know we went ourselves quite a few times, well, that was maybe in the 28th, 28 or 30s. We went to Detroit an awful lot then.
For your entertainment.
For entertainment, for shows or dinners or different things like that, I know we went to a lot of shows in Detroit.
Well, you took it for granted then.
Yes.
Because when I first came to Windsor, I found that people did take Detroit for granted.
Yes.
And I always felt, well, no, Detroit's another city.
No.
Windsor's where I am.
No, Detroit has been
that's not the way you felt.
Very close to Windsor, and I think so. I hope it stays that way, too.
Oh, I expect it will.
Yes, I think so.
Recently, with some difficulty, people have made a lot of it. It seems to have improved.
Yes,
it over has. There now, as far as I know. I don't go over very much, but that's because of my lifestyle. It's a little different, so I don't really.
I have 2 of my nieces that live in Detroit, and we go visit them quite often. And of course, they live not right downtown. They live more in Southfield around there. It's very nice. It's a very nice place to live.
But what I was asking, essentially, and you answered, was whether or not this was the feeling back in the 20s and 30s that it was just taken for granted that Detroit was the place to go.
Well, I think so. I think
even
so.
From here, yeah. Okay, what else?
Because you see, we communicate so much with Detroit, and going to market every morning, and that was our next door neighbor. It seemed,
Yeah. Well, you said your husband worked in the docks when your first child was born.
Yes, at the docks, bootlegging docks.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
I
bootlegging docks. Yeah.
I see.
He was unloading, the cases of liquor and
Oh,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, that'll keep you going.
Yes, I
That'll
guess.
keep you going, yeah.
Mhm.
All right, well, we'll finish this up in a moment. One of these days, when I do one of these conversations, Alice, I'm going to leave the tape machine run because I get all kinds of goodies as soon as I stop the machine. Now, one little thing that you said there while we were talking before I started the tape up again, you said muskrat.
Oh, yes.
You used to cook muskrat?
Yes, we used to cook. I used to cook about 24 muskrat. Well, I used to have all the council and a couple other friends maybe, and I'd cook for all of them, and they really enjoyed it.
How do you cook the muskrat?
How do I cook a muskrat?
Right.
Well, the worst thing of a muskrat is to clean them. Of course, they were skinned before I cleaned them, but even so, they're a funny-looking thing, you know.
Do you know that I don't think I've ever seen one?
You haven't?
No, I don't think so.
Well, they're just like a rat.
Well, that explains a lot.
But they're so good. They're so good. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, I boiled them first with a lot of onions, and then I'd roast them in the oven with a lot of butter, and they were delicious. Oh, they just went for that for
I think I would rather have it and then have you tell me what it was
That's
afterwards.
you'd never realize, you know, what it looks like because it's so delicious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
If you
and
told
there's a
me
lot of
after,
meat
I
on
would
it
mind.
too.
Is
Yes,
it?
yeah, there's a lot of meat on that too. Really nice meat. But now I don't know. You can't get them as much as you used to then.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
No, I'm only kidding.
No, you would never know what it. You know, they're not nice. That's why a lot of people don't eat them. It's because the way they look, eh?
Yeah.
But after you eat them once, you know they're very good.
Yeah, I suppose. I wouldn't mind if somebody else did all that work.
Yeah.
That the bad part of it, but the good part of it, which is eating, I would enjoy.
Yeah.
All right. Now that's one thing. That's just a little anecdote you dropped in on me that I had to mention. But what are some of the things that you miss about that era? I mean, I'm sure sometimes when you're sitting in your living room and you think back, oh, I tell you, I wish we were like that again.
Group things, you know, more. I like to cook, and I like to have people home. My husband is the same way too, and we used to have a lot of that. But now I don't know. It's more or less for a quick visit if you go anyplace now.
Right.
It's not no gathering like.
There's none of this dropping in on people.
No, not as much. As much. Of course, the way I go, they gotta drop in once in a while because I don't stop.
No, but I mean, just really.
There's too much tension in each home, I think. That's what it is. Well, it's too hard to make a living as far as I know. And they're too busy. You got to have a couple of jobs and to keep up with the high cost of living.
Right.
And they haven't got time. They get tired too, you know.
When you finish whatever it is you're doing, you don't want to go tracing
No, really not, no.
Mind you, we do a little bit of it in the summer. Living out here, I know.
Yes.
You will drop in for coffee and spend a couple of hours in the summertime, but in the wintertime, we will stick to ourselves.
Well, we do too with the pool here, you know. We have quite a few gatherings in summer, but it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same.
Another thing you mentioned while the tape was stopped earlier, you have a family gathering. If you have a family gathering, for heaven's sake, you've got 700 people. How many children and grandchildren and things?
39 grandchildren.
39 grandchildren.
And 2 great-grandchildren.
And how many children did you have?
9.
Yeah, 9 children.
I had
and
my
you don't
party.
need anybody else.
Not really. I had my party at Christmas. I have a party every year, and I make a hot meal for them. And we were 66 this year.
60s.
Well, sitting down at a hot meal every year. Yeah.
Well, see.
And I try and buy a gift for every one of us here. So I mean, it gets, but it's exciting.
Sure
it's exciting. This year I wasn't going to make it, eh? But my daughter here, I live with her, and she says, "Why not? My gosh, why not? You've done it so far. Do it again."
Well, that's one of the things, see, that you've brought from back.
Oh,
Because,
yes.
see, that's one of the things, the idea of a family gathering.
I don't think since I was married that I missed 1 year that I didn't have my family over for Christmas. I don't have it at Christmas. I have it a couple of weeks before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because at Christmas either they're going someplace or something
That's a
else.
good
You know,
idea.
they have their own family. You know.
That's a good idea. Sure.
So but you know what? It's very tiresome to do it.
Oh, of course it is.
When you cook for 66 people, it's kind of
For 6 people, it's tiresome.
Yes.
Never mind, 66.
But then after it's all done, I really appreciate it. I really, and they do too. They're looking forward for it, you know.
Well, when I asked you the question before, what you missed, I guess what it must be is the companionship of people all the time.
That's right. That's right.
Because
We
you
had
it
very,
more than-
very dear friends. I think we still have. Some are gone.
Mhm.
But I know there's very nice people that help us down the way when we were, not being able to cope with everything,
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, you don't forget those people.
No.
Don't forget. We had a very good Reeve that helped us out. He was a nice Reeve Brina.
Mhm.
He was Reeve for what? He was in council for 37 years, wasn't he?
Mhm.
He was a nice person.
Mhm.
And then we had our lawyer that was very, very nice. And other people in the council, they were nice too.
Mhm.
So, with help like that, you can make a go of it,
Yeah.
You have to have friends,
Mhm.
and you have to have good friends.
Mhm. And the companionship of them. I mean, I have good friends too, but I never see them.
Oh, you never see them.
See,
Well,
this is a different situation. You're talking about you have to have your.
I
friends
make a
around
point that we see our friends.
Mhm.
And I want to see them as long as I can. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I think anybody that's been good to you, you don't forget.
Mhm.
You don't forget those things. I don't care how old you are or how long you live. You don't forget. And I like to keep in touch with them.
Well, they've been good to you, but I'll bet you've been good to them too.
Well, probably am, but I don't think of it
You
that
don't
way.
feel that way. No.
Because when you need somebody and they're there,
Mhm.
that's the main part for me.
Mhm. I wonder if that's really changed from Lasalle as it was to today. I wonder.
I think. No, I don't think it has changed that much. Probably, if you'd go to those same people that are still around, that they would probably be as good to you if you needed. You know what I mean? I think so, because there's still a lot of good people in this world. Very good, and
I think they outnumber the bad.
I think so too. I would think so, because I love people, and I love to be with them. I'm in 2 euchre clubs. I'm in a poker club. And if I don't go there, I go to someplace else, and I go to bingos, and I enjoy myself.
Alice,
Enjoy
I
myself.
don't think I played poker.
You don't?
No.
Well, let's try it. I'd be glad to.
I think we'll leave on that note. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're welcome.